Hello, welcome to the Most Dangerous Podcast. How are you, James? It's only been 2 days since I last spoke to you.
Yeah, I've been all right for the past 2 days. Not done much, working. That's all I do, really. That's what I seem to do these days.
Yeah, we were just talking about you done a lot of reading. Must
Done
be
a lot
hard
of
work.
reading today. Yeah, my eyes are stinging and I have to stare at you. So it doesn't help.
Well, no. Like I said, almost 2 nights in a row. It was only 2 nights ago we were recording because we're catching up. But
You're on holiday soon. When are you going?
Next Friday. I'll be in a caravan in Ayrshire this time next Friday.
Next Friday, is it? All right.
Yeah.
What, for a week?
And then, no, the following morning I'm flying to Spain for 2 weeks. So.
Oh, right. Well, doesn't count, does it? I thought you were staying for a week in the caravan.
No,
That'd be hell. How many kids you got? 6 or something?
No, only 5.
5 kids in a caravan in Ayrshire.
We're flying like 5:30 in the morning from Prestwick Airport, and the caravan's literally to just stop and get a few hours sleep instead of. I would have done it through the night, but then I've got to drive those 5 kids across Spain in like a 7-seater minibus thing, and I just want those few hours kip before we get on the plane.
This doesn't seem to make much logistical sense. Like, why are you flying from there? And then why do you have to drive halfway across Spain?
We're not driving halfway across Spain. It's an hour.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
It's through couple of busy cities.
Yeah.
It was £1,700 cheaper flying from Prestwick to Manchester. Yeah, Scottish kids have gone back. They're back in school, so
that's like a good idea, isn't it? It's a hack, holiday hack.
We'll cotton on at some stage.
So, what have you got for us this week, then, Fraser?
Well, I've got a bit of I'm going to have to give a little trigger warning. This is a pretty gruesome story. This is, if you don't like your horror and blood and guts, then probably turn off now. I'm going to
Don't say that. Listen.
Yeah,
keep listening.
Keep listening. Yeah, keep listening. But don't blame us if you can't sleep.
That's it. It's just a bit of a warning.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell the story of the Watchmaker of Warren, also known as the Flesh Clock. Ever heard of it?
No, Flesh Clock. You got to be careful how you say that.
Yes, I was practicing this earlier, and I did say the other thing a couple of times, so there might be a few edits in this. But it's not a story you've heard of.
No, I can't say. I've never heard of the Flesh Clock.
Yes. So, James, so we're going to tell the story of the Watchmaker of Warren, also known as the Flesh Clock. Are you ready to go?
I think so. Is this, before we start, I need to turn you up. Can't hear you very well. Is this related to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
No.
Okay. That's because he used people's flesh and that and put masks on and things like that, didn't he? I just thought it might be something to do with that. But anyway, carry on.
No, unrelated. It's actually miles away from Texas.
Is it?
Yes. Okay. So we'll start. Warren in Ohio is a place that sits quietly in the American Rust Belt. So you can see, I'll add the picture. So Warren, Ohio is up in that top sort of New York, northeast side of America.
Right up there, yeah.
Right up there, yeah. So where it gets proper cold in the winter.
Proper winters.
Proper winters, yeah. So it's a place that's it got forgotten by most. Like many towns that built themselves on steel and mills and the endless sort of turning of machines, Warren has faded into quiet streets and abandoned factories. It was very much an industrial town that just, fell away as the industry died. So Warren does have a story about time, obsession, and flesh. The kind of tale that isn't written down in newspapers, but muttered in bars, whispered by teenagers daring each other at midnight in Packard Park. It's the story of a man people call the Watchmaker of Warren, and of a terrible machine he built, a clock that, according to legend, could only run on the fuel of human flesh.
Oof.
Yeah.
When was this?
So this is right at the end of the 1890s, 1897, I believe.
Okay.
First sort of
When people were more stupid.
Yeah. So I suppose they didn't have batteries back then, so they need to run their clock off something,
power,
didn't they?
These needs to power these cyborgs somehow.
Yeah. So there are no court transcripts, no police archives, but folklore carries power. It survives because it chills us and because it explains something about the world that facts alone can't. And this one, the story of the flesh clock, is one of the most grotesque American legends I've ever come across.
Right, okay.
Ready?
There's no written record.
No.
No, it's just based on trust me, bro.
Yeah, it's just a story that's grown legs, I think. So the Watchmaker, so the figure at the centre of the tale, is usually called Mr. Pendlick. Now, I say usually because, again, like stories, they change a little bit depending on who's telling the story.
Yeah.
Some say Pendler, some say Pendle, some just say the Watchmaker, but the character's always the same. He was a man obsessed with time, a craftsman who could repair any watch brought to him, who could open up the smallest mechanisms and see beauty where others saw parts. People described him as quiet, deliberate, always listening to something far away, as if his ear was tuned to a ticking no one else could hear.
Wouldn't trust him.
Yeah, he doesn't really.
You reminded me of, in Harry Potter, like the wand maker.
Oh, Ollivander.
Well, that's him. Looked a bit like him, didn't he?
Yeah, he was a bit fucking odd, wasn't he?
He was on the dark side, I think.
Yeah. He was one of those, I think he was excited by the dark side.
I'm pretty sure he's on the dark side.
Is he?
I think so.
Yeah, fair enough.
Comment below.
Yeah, let us know. So he didn't just fix watches, he studied the philosophy of time. He believed that time was not mechanical, that it wasn't a straight line, it wasn't a set of numbers to be measured, but something that was alive, something that required feeding. It's like a proper nut job, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's feeding. Time essentially is a man-made concept, I suppose.
It is.
We do view it as a linear thing, but is it really? So
it's just ideas, isn't it?
Ahead of his time. Well, exactly. Yeah.
I wish they made it up different.
I did see something, and I don't know if you had 13 months, all with 30 days in. I think, does that work? You're better at maths than me.
I think I know what you're talking about, because there's if every month had
28 days, you had 13 months
days,
28 days,
which is exactly 4 weeks.
Yeah, and every first of the month would be on a Monday, and every last of the month would be on a Sunday,
and it would give us 13, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So should do that.
Well, we could, yeah. And then that 13th month is just everything shuts down.
Yeah, just have a month off.
Yeah, fuck it. Call it fuck it month.
Yeah.
November, December, fuck it. And then January again.
Yeah. There we go. Anyway, that's my input for.
The only thing is, it doesn't change time, does it? It's not.
No, that's true. Still. Well, yeah. But but what I mean is
yeah.
Well, some months. Well, a month has 28 days. Some months have 30. Some have 31. It's all over the place.
That's mental, isn't it?
Condense it. But
I know some people get paid 4 weekly, so they get you get 13 paydays a month, a year. Because I remember my mum used to, and she used to the 13th one paid for Christmas.
Well, yeah, it fucks everything up though if you splitting bills. So what happened with me was it was right, okay, get paid, pay rent, bills, half the rent, blah blah, and then it'd be right, okay, well, this month I get paid at I think it was the first of the month, and there's half my bills for the end of the month,
Mhm.
But the other person, my partner, I'm like, right, well, you're not going to get another payment off me until the end of, I think it was June. So it like
Really?
completely screwed her up. But then I just had loads of money because I didn't have to make any payments. So
Yeah,
it's
it
just
moves about, doesn't it? It's not on a set day.
yeah. So yeah, but didn't like it.
No. Right. Okay. So the flesh clock itself. So Pendlick wants to build a perfect clock, one that would never stop. At first, he experimented with new kinds of gears, springs, and pendulums, but somewhere along the line, his work took a darker turn. According to the law, he began to believe that clocks could run if given organic material, so blood, tissue, and muscle.
Ooh, right. Okay.
I'm going to jump away from the story again, which we're not meant to do. But have you seen the big clock that the Amazon guy's building? Jeff Bezos.
No.
He's building a massive clock inside a mountain that instead of like seconds and minutes, it's like months and years. So
Okay.
like one hand moves every month, the other
Right.
hand moves like every year or something like that.
That sounds like a person who has too much money.
Yeah, he's just got nothing to do.
He's got nothing to do. Like, why is he doing it in a mountain? What? On the side of a mountain or in a mountain?
In a mountain.
Why?
It's I can't. That's all I know about it. So I better not put that on TikTok or I'll get slagged to fuck. But
Yeah. B&M podcast. Still not going to let it go.
no, that video's had 60,000 views though. To be fair, so yeah. What was I going to say? But yeah, it just look it up. Yeah, Jeff Bezos, massive clock in a mountain.
Massive clock.
And,
I think I've got to be careful there as well. Jeff Bezos, massive clock.
Jeff Bezos, massive clock. Yeah, get that headline right, you might get plenty of views. So the earliest experiments were said to be with animals, cats, dogs, rabbits. The remains were later found in alleys near a shop, strange sections of their bodies cut away. People whispered about the smell that hung in the air, like iron and oil, rot and smoke. The breakthrough came, of course, with human flesh.
Yeah, it just sounds like a nutter. Because all serial killers start with animals, don't they? Or most of them do. And
they do,
build up and build up.
Which worries me because Teddy loves killing little insects and stuff like that, and hurting the dogs, and
Really, could be next.
Keeping an eye on it. So the flesh clock wasn't just a machine. In the versions of the story that go into detail, it was more like a hybrid of a grandfather clock and a human body. And there's my little AI generated picture. That's what Google thinks it looked like.
What's massive swinging pendulum?
Yeah, that's a pendulum, that is. So it was something that was stitched together in a way that felt deeply wrong.
Dude, yeah, I think it does. I can't look at it. I get jealous.
So people that claim to have seen it or claim that their grandparents once did describe a cabinet of blackened brass and warped wood, taller than a man, with a face that wasn't smooth like a clock's dial, but instead stretched with tan strips of skin. Numbers weren't painted, they were carved directly into the hide. The pendulum, they say. Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Massive clock. That's what we're talking about.
Didn't swing with a rod of polished metal. It was built from a human femur, yellowed and slick. Yes, a leg bone, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when it moved, it didn't swing smoothly. It jerked as though each tick was powered by some hidden muscle spasm. Behind glass, gears turned, but not all of them were brass. Some were teeth, some were jawbones, fitted into one another with uncanny precision, clicking together like cogs. Tubes ran through the case stitched into the wood, and if you pressed your ear close, you could hear the faint slush of thick liquid moving inside. It's believed that liquid was blood.
Blood, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, okay. I don't know how it works, though.
Well, we'll carry on.
Okay.
So Pendlick had rigged the clock so that when flesh was pushed into a feeding chute at its base, the blood was siphoned upwards and pushed through glass tubing, coating the gears in a film of red that kept them turning. The tubing would sometimes bulge and you could see clots moving through, breaking apart with a wet pop.
So it's
And
kind of like a human body, I suppose. Blood being
yeah,
pumped around and moving the gears and the pendulum and stuff.
which means there must be some kind of heart or something that's
Yeah,
pumping
just to
it round, really.
pump the liquid around. Yeah, the blood, if it was blood.
So the clock wasn't just passive. The clock, according to the legend, had suction, and if you placed a hand near the intake grate, you'd feel a pull like a faint vacuum. Survivors in the story say it could rip a strip of skin clean off the bone, the way a rasp tears shavings from wood.
Sorry, what?
So it had like a suction where the meat entered, and if you put your hand, it could rip the skin right off your hand.
Okay, because the power of the suction.
Yeah.
Where was this? Where was the suction hole?
Uh,
Is it at the base or?
yeah, near the
further up?
intake grate where he put the flesh in.
Okay.
So there's like a little intake grate at the bottom. You pull open the little cage and stick your stuff in. Yeah, like a little fire at the front.
So it's not the asshole.
No, no, it didn't go in the bum. That's where you wound it up. So when enough flesh had been fed, the clock began to run in earnest, but it didn't tick, it didn't chime. Instead, the entire case gave off the sound of breathing. A slow inhale, a damp exhale. The hands of the clock crept forward, not with a smooth glide of machinery, but with twitching, shuddering motions of something that was alive. And the smell, that's something that comes up again and again. People say it stank like a butcher's bin left in the sun.
Butcher's bin, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a good, what's the word? Analogy, I think.
Yeah, but you can imagine the old butcher's bin be stinking, wouldn't it? We used to, when I grew up, we used to get this awful smell of rot in the house occasionally, and there's a distinctive, like, rotten flesh smell. And it is a bit like they say, like iron and stuff like that. And it would be the cat would have brought a mouse in, and it ran under the fridge and died, and then it was such a distinctive, rotten flesh smell. So there was a sweetness that clung to the back of your throat, and some couldn't even stand near the door of his shop without gagging. One story says that once late at night, Pendlick tested the clock with an entire human arm. Witnesses who claimed, see, there's all these witnesses. Why did no one actually phone the police?
I know, and he's still running his shop. He's still running his shop. Like, you go into his shop, say, "I'd like a watch, please." What the fucking hell is that? I'm going. I don't want to watch from you anymore.
There's people here watching it ripping the skin off their arms and stuff, and not actually telling anyone. I haven't gone back there since, to be honest.
Yeah, like the kids running around the shop, like they do, like messing about. Just lost an arm. Like, yeah.
Where's little Timmy gone?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be shopping here again. Fucking weirdo. Yeah, so witnesses who claimed to see it through the window said he fed it in whole, shoulder first. The clock's gears ground down the muscle, tendons snapping like violin strings, bone cracking as it was drawn inside. The clock ran for 3 weeks straight without needing another offering. So the worst part, some swore that if you stood close enough, the clock didn't just breathe, it whispered. Low, garbled sounds like half-formed words caught between the grinding of gears. As if the flesh it had consumed wasn't entirely gone, as if parts of those people were still in there, trapped in the mechanism, voices leaking out through the machinery. So that was Pendrick's masterpiece, a clock that ran not on time, not on winding, but on the dissolution of human bodies, a machine that turned life into seconds, into minutes, into hours, a clock that once built could never stop unless it was fed.
Oof.
What do you think?
Yeah. It's pretty dark, isn't it?
Yeah. So we got some truer bits of the story now.
Oh, have you got? There's the more.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. Yeah, I'd like to know the truer bits because I'm struggling to believe this. Surely the authorities, I don't care when it was, if you had like a clock that was made of like human body parts, someone's going to step in and go, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Regardless of the time or time, no pun intended, regardless of the year or what have you. So yeah, I'm not sure myself, but go on then. Let's hear some true stuff.
It's just the witnesses. It's the fact that keeps talking about all these witnesses, and you think, why hasn't one of them actually done anything?
Well, exactly.
Like,
Yeah. If it was me, I'd be like, okay, you just wait
analysis.
here, mate. I'm just going to go get my wallet.
Yeah.
Just please.
You just keep the watch just now. I'll be back in a minute. So we're on to disappearances in Warren. So there were disappearances.
Right. Okay.
They all went in the flesh clock. Or something else happened to them.
Yeah, okay.
More likely. So no folklore gains traction without victims, and in Warren, people began to disappear. Some of these names are said to belong to real people.
Some of them.
Yeah. Transient workers, drifters, people who wouldn't be missed quickly. A drunk who slept under bridges, a girl who ran away from home, an old man whose family thought he'd simply wandered off. Where's Grandad? He wandered off.
These things happen.
Yeah, he wandered off. Left the door open. Fuck. But in the legend, there are ones who fed the flesh clock. Pendlick is said to have lured them in, perhaps offering work, perhaps offering a warm place to stay. What happened after was always the same. They vanished. The grisly part is what was sometimes left behind. Bits of skin found near the door of Pendlick's shop. Strips of...
on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. An arm.
Bit of skin with a belly button in it or something.
Yeah. Just going to collect my... He's just repairing my watch. I'm just going to pop down the... collect it. What's that?
There's fucking always bits of skin outside his shop. Don't worry about it. Strips of muscle too cleanly cut to be from an accident, because there's always bits of muscle from accidents.
Yeah. It's from an accident, that one. Leave it there.
There was a tooth jammed between brass gears. One account claims that a local boy peered through the watchmaker's window and saw Pendlick pressing a severed hand against the machine. The fingers twitched as the pendulum began to swing, and then the boy ran screaming into the night. Nothing was ever proved, of course.
Well, yeah, this is the thing.
So these are all stories that were told later, but in every telling, the shop becomes a place of dread. People walked on the other side of the street, children spat as they passed, as if to keep the evil away. And then one day, it was gone. Pendlick's shop, so the story goes, was simply abandoned. Windows were covered, the door locked, and no one ever saw Pendlick again. When some brave souls finally went inside, the place was nearly empty, dust everywhere, workbenches cleared, and the flesh clock itself was missing.
Okay.
But what they did find, so the story insists, was Pendlick's leather apron, soaked in something dark and stiff, hanging on a hook by the back door, and a notebook filled with diagrams that seemed part anatomy, part engineering. Pages that showed the inner workings of a clock, with human veins sketched in where pipes should go, bones where gears belonged. On the final page, one line was written over and over again: "To stay in time, I must ride."
Maybe he just wandered off.
Yeah.
That seems to be a normal thing back in them days,
He just probably came up with a new project, that was fun. What's to do next?
The thing with these stories is that, as ridiculous as this sounds, there might be some element of truth in it. Maybe there was a creepy guy that maybe he was like a serial killer or something, or people disappeared and he was the creepiest guy in the street. So people started going, oh, he's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Maybe he did like make watches or repair watches or something. So then like the story kind of gets fabricated, and they put 2 and 2 together and make 5 and go, well, he's a watchmaker. People have disappeared. Maybe he's making a massive clock out of human flesh. I'm just saying, like, that's how stories develop, aren't they?
Well, I always think of, like Home Alone, the old Ben shovel killer
Yeah,
guy.
exactly. Yeah.
Like everyone thinks this guy murdered his family and dissolved them in
the
salt.
garden or something, didn't they?
Yeah. Scatters the road with the salt that's from their bones, or it's some bollock story. And then, like, they just grow legs, don't they, over the years? People add
Exactly,
little
yeah.
bits.
And this is
to
what,
it and,
over 150 odd years ago or so.
Yeah.
And you like one person each time everyone tells a story to make it more interesting, they sort of fabricate it a bit more or add a little bit of extra spice to it. And before you know it, you've got this wild tale, which is sounds unbelievable, but there probably is some truth in there somewhere, maybe.
What I don't get is they're making like remakes of so many films. That would make a great movie.
Yeah, it's quite similar to the barber one, the butcher barber, whatever he was called.
Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
It's quite
Sweeney
sounds
Todd.
quite similar. Yeah, Sweeney Todd. That's it.
Yeah,
so it's quite similar to that. You're in a shop, kill people, and because they made pies, didn't they?
I think they made pies. Yeah.
And this is slightly different. He made a massive
this
grandfather clock with the body parts.
It seems completely personal, doesn't it? Like, it's not like he's going to put this clock in the town hall when he's finished.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, history is proven to us that there are fucking weirdos that do stuff like this. It's not like, oh, that's just unimaginable, because sadly it's not. Because there are, we've seen people, over the past even 50, 60 years that have done horrific things to people, skin their bodies and wear people as, just horrible things. So whilst it is an unbelievable tale to a degree, because, surely someone would have said something, as I say, it's not entirely unbelievable because people have done these things. And I think it is, like I say, there probably is some sort of element of truth, I think, in this.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. It's probably come from something. So I've got a little bit more. So we've got the Warren Bikeman. So it's here where the story changes shape, because after the watchmaker vanished, the flesh clock supposedly reappeared in another form.
A bike,
yeah.
Really?
Bike. No.
All right. I thought you said bike man.
It's the Warren Bikeman.
Oh, bikeman, not bike man.
People on bikes. So people began reporting strange figures on bicycles. Always men, always 2 at a time, always dressed oddly. Their clothes were too tight or too loose. They rode at night silently, slowly, their legs pumping in perfect unison. Locals started calling them the Warren Bikemen. Teenagers dared each other to follow them, but those who did claimed the bikemen never tired, never stopped, never spoke. Some said their joints moved like gears, knees bending wrong, arms locked stiff. Others swore you could hear not the whir of chains, but the faint ticking of a clock as they pedalled by.
Oh, I see. So people are now suggesting that he's made people who ride bikes now.
Yeah. So the disappearances didn't stop. A boy who tried to chase him into the woods, a factory worker walking home late, and a pair of lovers who were last seen at Packard Park. In each version of the story, the bikemen are connected as if they're harvesting more fuel for the machine. And the darkest belief is this: the bikemen themselves are parts of the flesh clock, just like you said. Victims absorbed, hollowed out, turned into eternal riders to keep the watchmaker's creation alive.
Yeah, it's a little bit less believable, to be honest. I just can't see that. That's another part. Like, oh, guess what next?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to make much sense.
No, again, it's probably someone's seen a couple of bikers at night and told the story, and then
You remember that guy, that weird watch guy that murdered all
Yeah.
them people? Well, guess what? He's not really dead, and now he's got those bike men made out of
Yeah.
flesh coming around killing people. Random.
So that's the story, and I'll leave it at that. It was a story that I was looking for stories for this, and I came across it, and I thought, right, it's folklore. We tend to do things that are real, but I like the story, and I wanted to tell it. I thought it was
Well,
interesting.
like I said, with folklore, usually there's some element of truth.
Yeah,
So I would suggest it's the same here.
Mhm.
But if anyone knows about this tale, anyone sort of across the pond, because they're more likely. I've not come across it before, but I think people in the States probably will, particularly in that area. So if there's anyone in that area who listens to this and you've heard about this tale, I think we'd love to know more. So please get in contact and tell us if we've missed anything, or there's more to it, or if there's any truth behind it, because we'd really like to hear from you.
Amazing. Thanks, James. So we're going to leave it at that. So that's the story of the Flesh Clock.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
So
I'm going to have to go because it's getting dark and I'm going to be in pitch black in a minute.
So it's your turn next week.
Yeah.
So I look forward to it. There's what's happening next week.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll see you then.
All right. Thanks, James. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.